They say schools are where children go to be educated. But what they look like, what they function like, is much closer to restaurants. Not a bustling cafe with a rotating seasonal menu. Not a neighborhood diner with a cook who knows your name. No, this is a kind of forced restaurant. The only one in town. The one no one chooses, but everyone must attend. Mandatory dining. A state-run eatery. This restaurant has one menu. It's been approved by distant administrators who haven't set foot in a kitchen for decades. They don't eat food. They only want the reports. How much food was served, how many bites were taken, how many calories were burned. Proof, data, measurable digestion. The chefs, the teachers, are instructed to cook meals from processed ingredients passed down through rigid curriculum packets. They're told to make it engaging, creative, student-centered. They're given binders, rubrics, policies, PowerPoints. They do what they can, within the parameters of what's given. The food doesn't always land. The students, the customers aren't always hungry. They didn't ask for this food. They didn't choose this restaurant. They didn't get to decide when they eat, or how they eat, or what they eat. And still, every day, the plates are pushed across the table. Eat this. It's good for you. But the mechanics don't respond to insistence. When the food isn't resonant, the appetite won't activate. The school's architecture doesn't permit feedback. There is no space for true hunger. It operates on assumption, timing, schedule. It prepares meals long before hunger emerges and insists they be consumed anyway. The form itself becomes strained. In this space, distortion accumulates. Because the system is closed, the distortion doesn't stay in the air. It seeps into the people. It begins to shape them from the inside out. Chefs are expected to feed everyone, to carry the nourishment of many, often without time to breathe between meals. They pour themselves into their work. Their effort is genuine. Their will is real. But they are working within a structure that cannot adapt to what's needed. So when the food isn't eaten, when the students turn away or push back, it doesn't always register as a mechanical mismatch. Over time, it begins to feel like rejection, not of food, of the person who prepared it. And that pain, the ache of misrecognition, settles into the body. Not because the teachers are wrong, and not because the students are resisting, but because the structure allows neither to respond in their own timing. In a system that insists on serving what it predetermines to be right, any natural resistance gets pathologized. The child who doesn't eat becomes a problem to be solved. The refusal of a dish becomes a disorder. The form is not allowed to speak, so the body becomes the battleground. Strategies emerge to encourage eating: behavior charts, sticker systems, praise, penalties, incentives. And sometimes, when the appetite still won't cooperate, chemistry is altered to make the hunger more compliant. Not out of cruelty, not out of malice, but as a reflection of a structure that has forgotten how to listen. What once was aligned with the needs of a collective, standard curriculum for an age of planning, no longer matches the form of the students entering the restaurant now. The mutation is here. And it's not just that the food needs to change. It's that the kitchen, the service, the entire architecture was not designed for this new residence. There is no blame here. None. This is how the mechanics unfold when a cycle ends and the structure persists. The human beings are inside the system. The teachers, students, parents, administrators are not the cause of this distortion. They're shaped by it. It becomes hard to tell where the system ends and the people begin. But the truth is simple. No one here is broken. It's the alignment that is broken. The meal no longer matches the hunger. This is not a story of failure. This is the mechanics of a misfit. A moment in the turning of the wheel, when the old world still stands, but the core frequency has already departed. And so, we see strategies emerge to preserve the structure. More testing, more structure, more data, more control. But no amount of scaffolding can bring back the life into a system when its geometry no longer aligns with the beings inside it. Learning is mechanical. Appetite is mechanical. Digestion is mechanical. None of these respond to force. They respond to resonance. So what's left? Witnessing. Not as judgment, not as nostalgia, not as rage. Just a quiet seeing, a recognition of what is. This restaurant hasn't failed. It simply no longer fits the form it was designed to serve. And that isn't a tragedy. It's a sign of what is changing, of what is dying, of what will rise from the memory of what once worked. The teachers are not to blame. The students are not to blame. No one is at fault. But the kitchen cannot revive a menu written for a generation that no longer lives in these bodies. That light in the child's eyes dims not from laziness or defiance, but because their system knows this isn't food. This isn't learning. And some part of the adult knows too. Not consciously, not always clearly. But deep in the tissue, the instinct says, this isn't working anymore. And that knowing, it doesn't belong to any one person. It belongs to the field. These stories are not personal. They're mechanical. And if they resonate, it's not because they were taught. It's because something inside you remembers.